What's up, guys? Back in my house, thankfully. Uh, Today is day 13 of Humility Month, and today I wanted to share a certain passage based on the fact that what we're witnessing of the overtaking of our country from this Pride movement up to the White House this past weekend, and all of the terrible demonstrations that went on there. Um, I don't have time, and nor is it my desire to go about explaining how we got to this place in this country. But I would like to occasionally touch on why we're in this place and the spiritual reasoning behind certain things. I do not claim to understand it all in any way. I know very little, but there's certain things that I've been able to see and that really make sense. And so one thing that really stood out to me was listening to a Jonathan Cahn podcast. It happened to be with Glenn Beck, and he just wrote this book, published it, The Return of the Gods. And in it, he describes how we're currently seeing the gods of ancient times come back in very similar fashion and take root and control in this country. And why were they let in? And one of the things he references, and one thing that I have been thinking a lot about, is this passage in Matthew 12, starting in verse 43. Now, when the unclean spirit goes out of a man, it passes through waterless places seeking rest, and does not find it. Then it says, I will return to my house from which I came. And when it comes, it finds it unoccupied, swept, and put in order. Then it goes and takes along with it 7 other spirits more wicked than itself, and they go in and live there, and the last state of the man becomes worse than the first. That is the way it will also be with this evil generation. So a couple things, and I wanted to touch on some things that Jonathan Cahn pointed out, and also some things that are just simply evident from this passage. A couple things. Jesus is clearly talking about possession of evil spirits. Now, whether that is an individual, which he appears to be talking about, or an entire generation, which he also appears to be talking about in the last sentence, it is an overtaking of that person or generation. So it can be an entire group of people. And then also, whenever that spirit is derided and removed, and Christ is allowed in, then that spirit is gone. But if we don't maintain the place for Christ to exist and dwell here, Jesus is just explaining that that void is going to be filled, and very possibly by the same spirit that left, and with him are going to be many others. So I just thought that was very interesting, because in America right now, we're seeing, so we've dealt with spiritual attacks through our history, and they seem to be similar in some ways, different in others. But why are we dealing with this massive spiritual attack in the form of pride right now? Well, a lot of it is stemming from the fact that we've been progressively over the decades getting rid of God, for the sake of wanting to even have religious freedom. A lot of Christians I hear talk about that. Well, we can't have too much God or the Bible in the schools, because that's indoctrination. And so we need to have more open minds to whatever religion, because what if one day there is Islamic rule in our country? Well, then you don't want to not be able to practice Christianity. Correct. Yeah, I see your point. But that is rejecting the place of God found in this country. It's rejecting the place of there being one truth as far as who is the creator of this universe. So just wanted to touch on that and kind of leave you at that with pondering it. I'm gonna be pondering it for a little bit, for how we got to this place, why we got to this place, and therefore the solution is to scourge this land from these spirits and from this movement, and we have to initiate bringing God, not as humans, but letting God come back in and welcoming Him into our schools, into our gatherings, and into the public place. So, lastly, for our prayer, I wanted to read through Psalm 20 for our prayer. May the Lord answer you in the day of trouble. May the name of the God of Jacob set you securely on high. May he send you help from the sanctuary and support you from Zion. May he remember all your meal offerings and find your burnt offering acceptable. May he grant you your heart's desire and fulfill all your counsel. We will sing for joy over your victory, and in the name of our God we will set up our banners. May the Lord fulfill all your petitions. Now I know that the Lord saves his anointed. He will answer him from his holy heaven, with the saving strength of his right hand. Some boast in chariots and some in horses, but we will boast in the name of the Lord our God. They have bowed down and fallen, but we have risen and stood upright. Save, O Lord. May the King answer us in the day we call. Amen. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I will see you tomorrow for day 14 of Humility Month. Stay humble. Thanks.